The unveiling. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, Earth stood as a mere footnote in the grand narrative of interstellar politics. The Galactic Council, comprised of 12 ancient spacefaring civilizations, regarded humans as curious newcomers, resourceful, perhaps, but ultimately insignificant in the greater scheme of cosmic affairs. Humanity's requests for greater representation were consistently met with polite dismissal, their concerns catalogued and promptly forgotten. What the Council didn't know was that Earth had been preparing for this precise scenario for decades. Deep within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, hidden in the shadow of Sirius, the Earth Space Command operated its most closely guarded secret, the ESS Defiant. Unlike the modest vessels Earth publicly displayed, the Defiant represented the pinnacle of human engineering and innovation, a marvel of technology that would forever change humanity's standing in the galaxy. Captain Eliza Morgan stood on the bridge of the Defiant, her piercing blue eyes fixed on the tactical display. At 45, she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who had dedicated her life to a singular purpose. Her salt and pepper hair was pulled back in a regulation bun, revealing a face weathered by years of service and the weight of command. "Status report," she called, her voice calm yet authoritative. Commander Raj Patel, her executive officer and longtime friend, responded without looking up from his console. "All systems operating at optimal capacity, Captain. Our quantum cloak is stable, and we remain undetected." Eliza nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. The Defiant had been her home for 3 years now, conducting silent patrols along the fringes of human space, its existence known only to a select few within Earth's government. Today marked their furthest venture beyond the solar system, a calculated risk, but a necessary one. "Dr. Chen, any updates on that anomalous energy signature?" Eliza asked, turning to the ship's chief science officer. Dr. Sophia Chen, a brilliant physicist whose work on gravitational manipulation had been instrumental in developing the Defiant's advanced propulsion system, frowned as she analyzed the readings. "Definitely artificial, Captain. And massive. Whatever it is, it's at least 3 times the size of the largest Arcturus dreadnought we've encountered." The bridge fell silent. The Arcturus Confederation was known for their impressive warships, but something of this scale was unprecedented. "Distance?" Eliza inquired. "Approximately 2 light hours and approaching the Lyra system," Sophia replied, concern evident in her voice. "If they maintain their current trajectory, they'll reach Lyra Prime in less than a day." Lyra Prime, home to the Navari, a peaceful civilization known for their artistic achievements and philosophical advancements. They were recent inductees to the Galactic Council, their admission largely symbolic as the Council sought to appear more inclusive. The Navari possessed minimal defensive capabilities, having devoted their resources to scientific and cultural pursuits rather than military might. Helm, plot and intercept course. Maximum stealth. Eliza's decision was immediate. Communications, continue monitoring all frequencies. I want to know who they are before we get too close. As the Defiant altered course, Lieutenant Maya Okafor, the communications specialist, suddenly straightened in her chair. "Captain, I'm picking up a transmission. It's encrypted, but the pattern matches Zenith Dominion protocols." The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop several degrees. The Zenith Dominion, a militant collective of 3 highly advanced species united under a philosophy of conquest and subjugation. Though they maintained diplomatic relations with the Council, their territorial ambitions were well documented. They had never, however, made any overt moves against Council members. "Can you decrypt it?" Eliza asked, her mind already calculating the implications. Maya's fingers danced across her console. "Working on it. Their encryption has evolved since our last intelligence update, but the basic architecture remains similar." Minutes stretched into an hour as the Defiant continued its silent approach. Finally, Maya's expression changed from concentration to alarm. "Captain, I've broken through. It's It's an invasion plan. The Zenith are planning to occupy Lyra Prime as a strategic position for further expansion. They've calculated that the Council will issue formal protests, but ultimately accept it as a fait accompli rather than risk open conflict. Eliza's jaw tightened. They're counting on the Council's passivity. And they're right to do so, Commander Patel added grimly. The Council hasn't engaged in collective military action in over 3 centuries. A heavy silence fell over the bridge as the reality of the situation sank in. Earth, despite its advanced warship, was not a full Council member. Any intervention would be unauthorized and potentially viewed as aggression. Non-intervention, however, would condemn the Navari to subjugation or worse. After a moment of deliberation, Eliza made her decision. Tactical, prepare our non-lethal defensive systems. Communications, open a secure channel to Earth Command. We need authorization. The response from Earth was swift. Proceed with caution. Protect the Navari. Reveal only what is necessary. As the Defiant closed the distance to the Zenith fleet, the massive scale of the invasion force became apparent. 20 warships, led by a colossal command vessel, formed a perfect attack formation. They had already entered the Lyra system and were accelerating toward Lyra Prime. They'll reach the planet in 6 hours, Commander Patel reported. The Navari have detected them and are broadcasting distress signals to the Council. Eliza nodded grimly. And how long until the nearest Council response force could arrive? At best speed, 18 hours. Too late. The Zenith would have established orbital dominance and begun landing troops by then. A successful intervention would require immediate action. Drop the cloak, Eliza ordered. Power up the gravitational displacement field and the pulse cannon. Communications, open a channel to the Zenith command ship. The bridge crew exchanged surprised glances. This would be the Defiant's first official appearance, but moved to execute their orders with practiced efficiency. On the main view screen, the imposing visage of a Zenith commander appeared, with iridescent scales covering his elongated cranium and 4 yellow eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Admiral Vexcan exuded menace even through the video feed. Unidentified vessel, you have entered a restricted military operation zone. Identify yourself or be destroyed, he demanded, his translator giving his words a metallic quality. Eliza stood tall, shoulders back. This is Captain Eliza Morgan of the Earth spaceship Defiant. You are approaching a sovereign world under the protection of the Galactic Council. Alter your course immediately or face the consequences. Admiral Vexcan's upper eyes narrowed while his lower pair widened, a zenith expression of amusement. Earth, the primitive world barely capable of interstellar travel. Your interference is noted but irrelevant. One vessel cannot stand against the might of the Dominion. Stand down, and perhaps we will spare your lives. That's your final decision, Eliza asked calmly. It is. The Admiral terminated the communication. Eliza turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Zhao, target their propulsion systems with the pulse cannon. Wide dispersal pattern. Aye, Captain. Targeting solutions locked. Fire. The Defiant unleashed its first demonstration of Earth's true technological capability. The pulse cannon fired not conventional energy weapons, but a concentrated beam of exotic particles that interacted with the quantum structure of targeted systems. The effect was immediate and dramatic. All 20 Zenith vessels suddenly lost propulsion capability, their engines disrupted at the subatomic level. On the Zenith command ship, confusion reigned. What happened? Admiral Vexcan demanded as warning lights flashed across his bridge. Unknown, Admiral. Our engines are offline. The quantum matrix it's been completely destabilized. Engineering reports it will take hours to recalibrate. Meanwhile, the Defiant moved into position between the disabled Zenith fleet and Lyra Prime. Eliza reopened communications. Admiral Vexcan, as you can see, Earth is not as primitive as you believed. Your fleet is disabled. We have shared your invasion plans with both the Navari government and the Galactic Council. A Council peacekeeping force is on its way. You have two options: withdraw from this system immediately once your engines are back online, or face formal sanctions from the Council and further demonstrations of our capabilities. The Admiral's expression had transformed from dismissive to wary. This technology, it's impossible. How did you? We've kept our advancements private for precisely this scenario. Admiral, Earth has chosen peace, but we are prepared for those who choose otherwise. As the diplomatic standoff continued, signals began pouring in from across the galaxy. The revelation of Earth's hidden capabilities had sent shockwaves through the Council. Demands for explanation, offers of alliance, and expressions of concern flooded the Defiant's communications array. Eliza turned to Commander Patel, a small smile playing on her lips. It seems we've caused quite a stir. The Council will not be pleased about being kept in the dark, he replied, though his tone suggested he wasn't particularly concerned about their displeasure. Perhaps, but they can no longer ignore us, Eliza said, her gaze returning to the view screen where the disabled Zenith fleet drifted powerlessly. One way or another, the galaxy is about to change, shifting the balance. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with an energy not felt in centuries. Representatives from all 12 council races occupied their designated positions in the tiered seating arrangement, while additional observers crowded the galleries. At the center of it all stood Captain Eliza Morgan, her Earth Space Command uniform a stark contrast to the elaborate attire favored by most council species. 3 weeks had passed since the Defiant's intervention at Lyra Prime. The Zenith Dominion had retreated, their invasion plans thwarted, and their military prestige severely damaged. Now, Earth faced the diplomatic consequences of its actions and the revelation of its hidden capabilities. High Counselor Taloran of the Arcturus Confederation, his crystalline exoskeleton shimmering under the hall's lights, addressed the assembly. Captain Morgan, while the Council acknowledges your action prevented a potential conflict, the fact remains that Earth concealed significant technological advancements in direct violation of transparency protocols. How do you answer this charge? Eliza stood firm, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. With respect, High Counselor, Earth is not a full Council member and thus not bound by those protocols. Our applications for membership have been rejected 17 times over the past 3 decades, always with the explanation that we are insufficiently advanced to contribute meaningfully to galactic affairs. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Many representatives shifted uncomfortably, aware of how Earth had been consistently sidelined. Furthermore, Eliza continued, our intelligence suggested that certain Council members were aware of the Zenith Dominion's expansionist plans yet chose inaction. Earth decided that if the Council would not uphold its own principles of mutual protection, we would. The accusation hung in the air, impossible to dismiss yet difficult to address directly. It was Ambassador Shrell of the Navari who finally broke the tense silence. My people owe their continued freedom to Captain Morgan and the crew of the Defiant, the willowy, blue-skinned diplomat stated. While protocols may have been breached, the alternative was the subjugation of an entire civilization. I move that we focus less on Earth's secrecy and more on how their capabilities can strengthen the Council moving forward. Back on the Defiant, now orbiting the Council's neutral space station, Commander Patel monitored the proceedings via secure feed. They're starting to come around, he reported to Dr. Chen and Lieutenant Zhao, who watched anxiously beside him. Dr. Chen nodded thoughtfully. It was inevitable. The gravitational displacement technology alone changes the equation. No species can afford to ignore us now. Not everyone's happy about it, Lieutenant Zhao pointed out, gesturing to another screen showing the Zenith diplomatic vessel that had arrived at the station days earlier. The Dominion has been suspiciously quiet since their retreat. Too quiet, Patel agreed, a note of concern in his voice. His concern proved prescient. As the Council debate continued, alarms suddenly blared throughout the Defiant. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Lieutenant Okafor reported as she rushed to her station. Zenith signatures. They're launching fighters toward the station. The Zenith attack was as unexpected as it was bold, a desperate attempt to restore their damaged reputation by striking at both Earth and the Council simultaneously. 6 heavy cruisers had emerged from faster-than-light travel, immediately deploying swarms of fighter craft aimed at the station's vulnerable docking ports. The station's defenses, designed primarily for meteoroid deflection rather than military engagement, would be overwhelmed within minutes. The diplomatic contingent, including Captain Morgan and representatives from all Council races, would be either killed or taken hostage. Commander Paddle didn't hesitate. Battle stations. Deploy defensive countermeasures. Target fighter squadrons first. Non-lethal protocols. The Defiant's response was immediate and devastating. As the first wave of Zenith fighters approached the station, they suddenly found themselves caught in invisible webs of distorted spacetime. The gravitational displacement field, Dr. Chen's revolutionary creation, selectively increased gravitational forces around each fighter, effectively immobilizing them without destroying them. Second wave incoming, Lieutenant Zhao reported. They're adjusting course, trying to find gaps in our coverage. Extend the field. Maximum range, Paddle ordered, and prepare the resonance cannon for the cruisers. We need to disable their weapons systems without destabilizing their life support. The resonance cannon, another of Earth's hidden advancements, targeted specific frequencies and shield harmonics, creating destructive interference patterns that collapsed defensive barriers without damaging the vessels themselves. As the Defiant brought it online, the lead Zenith cruiser suddenly found its shields failing, followed quickly by cascading systems failure across its weapons platforms. Inside the Council chamber, the emergency protocols had activated. Force fields separated the representatives from potential threats, while security personnel moved to defensive positions. Yet amid the chaos, Eliza maintained her composure. "High Counselor," she addressed Tuloran, "with your permission, I believe I can resolve this situation without bloodshed." The crystalline being regarded her with multifaceted eyes. "Your ship is outnumbered 6-1, Captain." A slight smile touched Eliza's lips. "Numbers aren't everything, Counselor. Please trust me." After a moment's consideration, Tuloran nodded. Eliza activated her secure communicator. "Paddle, this is Morgan. Implement Protocol Aegis." Aboard the Defiant, Commander Patel acknowledged the order. "Protocol Aegis confirmed. Dr. Chen, bring the quantum field generator online." Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "Commander, we've never tested it at full capacity." "No time like the present, Doctor." The captain's orders. With a nod, Chen initiated the sequence. The Defiant's power core surged as it channeled massive energy into the ship's most closely guarded technological marvel, a device capable of generating a quantum entanglement field that linked targeted objects at the subatomic level. As the field expanded to encompass all 6 Zenith cruisers, their systems became quantum-linked. Every action taken by one ship instantly affected all others. When the lead cruiser attempted to fire its weapons, the energy was dispersed equally among all 6 vessels, rendering the attack harmless. When another tried to retreat, all 6 ships moved in contradictory directions, effectively immobilizing the entire fleet. From the Zenith flagship, a frustrated transmission cut through the confusion. "What sorcery is this?" demanded Admiral Vex Can, who had personally led the attack. "Release our vessels immediately." Commander Patel opened a channel to respond. "This is not sorcery, Admiral, just science you don't understand yet. Your fleet is neutralized without a single casualty. Consider this another demonstration of Earth's capabilities and our restraint." In the Council chamber, the security fee,